Welcome back. Today I thought we'd get a better look at what Kriya is actually doing. What is the process? Well, there's more than one part of what makes Kriya work. And so part of that is the heart rate variability breathing. So that's first and foremost all the time. You hear me talking about that over and over again. And the reason is it really works. And one of my students put forth this law. He said, you cannot have a spiritual experience if you have not established heart rate variability resonance. So, first the resonance and then an experience. Maybe you didn't go into meditation thinking about heart rate variability, but your body did it. Then you will have the experience. That's his law. And I think it's correct. So, that's always first. And one of the other parts in the Kriya is the OM Japa. And I want to talk about what that is doing. It is a continuous therapy. That's what it's designed to be in our entire lives, is a continuous therapy that is continuously wiping us out. So let's get into that. So we know that the limbic brain is projecting itself down into the central nervous system. That's what a brain does, right? It takes the information that it receives and it projects it down into the form that we believe we are. And that is how we interface with the world around us. And without that process, we don't interface. We wouldn't have a life. We wouldn't make it out of bed. So it's absolutely necessary. And yet, we would like to suspend it momentarily in meditation. And so, to facilitate that process of reversing ourselves back into the brain, this is what the Gita is talking about when it talks about the holy tree. It's telling us that there's this nervous system and we are reversing ourselves. We're falling back to our roots, which is the brain. So beautifully expressed in the Gita. Who knows this holy tree knows Vedas, knows the Vedas, knows truth. That's what the Gita tells us. If you understand this process, then you know the whole of yoga, you know the whole spiritual life, everything. You know it because you understand that you're going back to the brain. It's a humongous understanding. It's a huge secret. It's a secret in plain sight, and that's what yoga is asking us to grok, to really get that this world out here is the shadow play, and going back into the brain, that's closer to the truth. It is inch by inch closer to the truth inside the brain. That's what the Gita is telling us so beautifully. And so if you can understand this process that the brain is projecting into the body, that limbic reflection, well, there it go. It's a reflection. So you can think about it. It's as if I'm looking down into a mirror, and that mirror is reflecting the information from the brain. So I look down and I think that the projection is down in the heart. And I say, oh my goodness, I have heartache in my heart. I feel it there. Or I have fear in my gut. But it's not in my heart, it's not in my gut. That is a reflection of the limbic material. So what I'm going to do in meditation is I'm going to drop a mental Om bomb into that mirror, and I'm going to temporarily shatter it. It's as if the mirror is a pot of water. Each chakra is a little pot of water held in our nervous system. And we can look into it and see our reflection. Oh, you can kind of see my reflection right there. And what I'm going to do with my own is disturb the water. And now the reflection is bouncing back to its home. And I just do that over and over again. Om, om, into the chakra, and so disturb it so that that reflection bounces back. Our life is this great story, and it's wrapped up with these emotions that we drive into the story from the right amygdala, the negative emotion chip in the body. And when the story gets wrapped up with the emotion, it is almost impossible to unwind and so detach ourselves from this continuous story that we're living in. But by the process of this limbic cleaning, where we're continuously disturbing that projection and causing it to go back to the brain, you shrink the process of the right amygdala. And that shrinking process isn't just momentarily. When you do it over and over again, and this is my point, it's a continuous process throughout our lives. We're shrinking the right amygdala continuously. That understanding, by the way, comes from Todd Murphy, that meditation is a process of shrinking the right amygdala. So we continuously shrink it. When you do that over and over through your life, the right amygdala, the actual physical structure will begin to shrink because it's not used. So the body says, well, we don't need this so much because it's not a big deal. You keep disturbing that emotional projection and it recedes more and more. It doesn't mean that you never feel anything. It just means that it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's a beautiful thing. And I remember Mitra Nanda told me that Premamoy said that. He said that your life will start out like this, and then it'll get like this, and then the bumps will get like this, and then the emotional bumps will get like that. And that's what he's describing. He's describing that shrinking of the right amygdala. And it's done through this process of continuously disturbing the limbic projection. It's a wonderful therapy. You could use other therapies. You could use timeline therapy. You could write. You could do psychoanalysis. The OM Japa in the chakras just happens to be a very quick and easy way to continuously do a self-therapy, which releases us from this emotional attachment. So what happens is that emotional element recedes and the story then naturally resolves itself. It unravels itself. And you find that you look at the story and you're like, oh, okay, that happened, and I'm just going to learn from it and move on. And then your past becomes a storehouse of wisdom rather than a torture chamber. Wow, I mean, who would have thought? What a great idea. You mean I don't have to carry this huge burden on my back and torture myself with it continuously? I can just unravel it and let it go and move forward with my life with wisdom and understanding? Sounds pretty good. That's what Kriya is doing. That's what a continuous therapy is doing for us. It's separating the emotion from the story, and the story unravels, and the emotion shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And that's the idea of the Om Japa in the chakra. People will tell us, they'll say, you should be non-attached. Well, great. But how do you actually accomplish that? This is it. This is what I'm telling you. You cannot unravel the Gordian knot when the story and the emotion are wedged together. You have to shrink the emotion. And once the emotion is shrunk or gone, the story naturally unravels itself and the Gordian knot becomes severed. That is the process of Kriya Yoga. It just blows my mind. The right amygdala is physically shrinking, and the right hippocampus, which is the storehouse of understanding and knowing, it actually gets bigger through the process of meditation. And the left amygdala, which is the storehouse of joy and bliss and pure love, grows as well. For more on the process of Om Japa and how it creates bliss, the big bliss, the overwhelming bliss in meditation, be sure to check out the Big Bliss Training at meditativemellows.com. So I hope that you love this. I hope it gives you an idea of what the Om Japa is doing in the chakras, why that's important. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.